Quarter.
Welcome to the Elite Mark Order podcast number 18, where we review AEW Dynamite results from April 12th, 2023, coming from the UWM Panther Arena in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'm Cosmic Scott. Tonight I have with me JayV. If you like this podcast, please give us a like. If you want to hear more, please give us a subscribe. If you want your friends to hear it, go ahead and share it. And if you want to join us in the Discord, click down below. Jay, this is a fantastic Dynamite to talk about. Lots of big news. What'd you think about the program, and how are you today?
I'm doing great. Another good show, leading us on the road down to Double or Nothing. Lots of there was a couple surprises, a couple returns that we can't wait to talk about. So yeah, it was a good show, and there's certainly lots to discuss.
Absolutely, some big news down the road, and some questionable returns, in my opinion. But started off with a fairly good match, I thought. It was Swerve Strickland versus Darby Allin, one of the four pillars who's going to be contending later on, as we all suspect, at Double or Nothing. Right now not confirmed, but they're all racking up the wins. So Darby Allin broke out against Swerve Strickland. There was a little bit of interference from Brian Cage, as I called it. Somebody asked about the Gates of Agony. They are ROH. They are not important enough for AEW. Brian Cage, however, is big enough for AEW. Notice, he did not come out with his belt. So he came out with Prince Nana. He got chased off. It was a big distraction. Swerve took advantage. Still didn't get the win. And once again, I have to bring up that the announcers pointed out that Darby Allin won with the Last Supper. That is the only way he has been able to beat Swerve Strickland in all their meetings. I thought it was a fairly good match. It was a big build-up. What did you think about it, JV?
I thought it was an excellent match. Darby is always great to see. I'm never gonna, not be excited about watching a Darby match. He just has such an interesting approach on the sport, and he always brings something new and exciting to the table. Match was excellent. I think one spot that I'd like to call out that was very notable was Darby giving Strickland a poison Rana off the apron to the floor to the outside. That move is insane for both guys to do that. Swerve actually, I think I remember seeing Swerve work that move in an ROH, one of the earlier Tony Khan run ROH shows, but I don't remember who he was fighting. But yeah, just a crazy spot. Darby threw him back in the ring after the poison Rana to the outside, hit a nasty coffin drop, and I thought the match was over. But Prince Nana got interfered and broke up the count. Brian Cage was involved after that, and Darby went on to get the win, of course, since he's being prepped up for his Double or Nothing title shot, which will, in my opinion, is going to be, and probably in a lot of people's opinions at this point, is going to be a four-way with all four pillars for the title. Yeah. But yeah, Brian Cage did reportedly sign a new contract with AEW and ROH a couple days ago. So there were some questions about Brian Cage's future, and that he had performed a few times without a contract. But yeah, interesting to see that Brian Cage is wrapped back up.
Well, good for him. Brian Cage has long talked about how he should be used more. Looks like he's at ROH. Looks like he's in AEW, getting a little bit more camera time. Good on him. He does look like $1 million. We all know he's, get your shit in guy. But I agree. It was a great match. There was always a lot of good stuff. Darby Allin threw himself around. Swerve Strickland is an amazing wrestler. The Poison Rana, again, for the listeners at home who don't know what that is, both wrestlers are standing on the apron. And Swerve Strickland has Darby Allin gets Darby Allin on his shoulder somehow. I wasn't watching, didn't notice that part. I was probably making dinner. Either way, so imagine Swerve Strickland standing, Darby on his shoulders, goes backwards. Swerve Strickland goes backwards off the apron onto the floor. That is a Poison Rana onto the floor from the apron. That is a nasty move. And I'm impressed. Once again, Swerve is selling like crazy. He said in a post-match interview later that he made Darby. So every win that Darby makes reflects on him. I thought that was a great way to sell off a loss. So I loved it. Once again, building up Darby Allin for the match later on. Nothing bad to say about it. What can you say? Darby Allin puts 110% into everything he does. He did win with the Last Supper, and therefore that was the end of that match. Now, I am hearing a knocking. I think we've got a visitor here. Are you with us?
Right. Hello, everybody. It's been a long time since Danhausen has been on this podcast. As you
Danhausen.
already know, I got injured at Revolution by the Ass Boys.
Oh, those ass boys. We hate them.
Now, I've been recuperating with Kitty Hausen. She's right here in the studio.
Kitty?
Is Kitty Howson going to give us a meow?
No.
Sorry about that. I messed up my mic a little bit. I'm trying to get her. Kitty Hausen, come here. Come here. Kitty Hausen. Kitty Hausen.
This has never
here.
worked.
Come here.
This has
Come
never worked.
Come here.
Okay, no. Abort. This has never worked. This cat does not want to be on microphone.
No, she's just an ass. That's the problem. No, the problem is that when I went to go get her, because my door is so far away from my desk, and I have my headset on, I didn't want to take out the headset. I went to pick her up and have her go, meow.
All
on the
right,
mic,
all right.
and then it messed up.
All right. We're going to move on. Feel free to edit.
Anyways, all right. So, Danhausen calls for the 310 to Yuma to be banned from all wrestling events.
Yes.
It's a clearly dangerous move. They did not do it safely, so honestly, it needs to be banned. Tony Khan, if you're hearing me, I will pay you 1 million monies to get rid of the 310 to Yuma.
So, speaking of the 310 to Yuma and you taking it badly, any update on when you may be coming back, Danhausen? We want to see you in the ring.
I really, honestly don't know. Doctors are still performing surgery.
Still?
Honestly, I cannot really remember anything else.
So you're under anesthesia right now?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
That is why you heard me talk in a different voice. That is why I messed up with my mic. Because
Okay.
I'm still under the anesthesia. Alright?
Yes.
Anyway, Danhausen must go because Danhausen is about to black out. Peace out.
Thank you,
Bye.
Thank you, Danhausen.
Always great to have Danhausen on the show.
He is a bit of chaos, isn't he?
A little bit.
A little bit. All right. So after Darby's match, we had a wonderful little back and forth with MJF, who came out and basically cut a nice promo talking about how Darby was, in MJF's words, Sting's bitch. And that brought out, of course, it's Sting! And Sting, being Sting, had the ability to hold his own against MJF. I thought Sting was rather good in his promo because he was unafraid to go there. I thought there were some really classic lines, such as being Cody's bitch when he said it to MJF. So I thought this was a great promo off. I don't think he needed to do it for Darby, but I think he added clout for Darby, which is why they did that. What'd you think of the segment after the match?
Good to see Sting get some mic time in there against MJF. It was a great confrontation. Loved the Showtime references. Loved the Cody reference. Interesting. There was no there, and there hasn't been any references to Wardlow. Wardlow was a huge part of MJF in AEW for 2 years. The majority of the time he's been with the company, and Wardlow's name has not come up at all during this whole Four Pillars thing, despite Sting being mentioned and Christian being mentioned. And Chris Jericho being mentioned. There's no mention of MJF having support from Wardlow. And Sean Spears too. Sean Spears, helped out MJF quite a few times.
Well, but that's not the daddy daycare argument that they're making. And so in that regard, he stayed away from, oh, you've had a group like Sammy's had the Inner Circle and he had the JAS now, that kind of stuff. I think the entire point was everybody had a mentor. That's why he talked about Surfer Sting had Flair. That's why he talked about Kevin Nash and the Wolfpack Sting. That's why he talked about Joker Sting, where everybody, it was a mentorship argument, as it were. And that's why he brought Cody up, because Cody was MJF's mentor, which is odd to put Cody on the same level as Sting and some of those other legends like we have out there, like Tully for a while, Arn, Jake, and Sting himself. So
I mean, I get that Wardlow wasn't a mentor, but he was certainly in MJF's corner most of the time, and was probably more beneficial and did more for MJF than any of the other guys did.
Oh, he was his heater. The firm did nothing. You're right on that, Krill. Did you have something to say about the promo?
It was a good promo. I think, honestly, the funniest thing about it was Sting out of nowhere with the fucking pom-poms and thing. He just turns down, pulls out. He's like, oh, yeah, I'm a cheerleader. I'm not a mentor. Or, I'm not a dad. I'm a cheerleader. And just starts smacking MJF with a pom-pom, then starts throwing them at him.
He started bringing pom-poms from everywhere. He threw like 6 or 7 pom-poms. It was very subtle, but very funny. It was a very Joker sort of reference.
Yeah, and that's why he went into the whole Joker Sting. It's like, yeah, it's clear that I still have some Joker Sting left in me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he was also not afraid to stir the pot with the Cody reference. Called out Ric Flair. Called out Nash and Hall. So there, he was going there. That's the way I put that.
With mentioning them, Flair, Hall, and Nash, I wouldn't really call it a call-out. He was just like, shouting them out, saying, oh, yeah, hey, thank you for doing this for me. Thank you for doing that. But I love the fact that when he mentioned Hall, he looked up and said, thank you, Hall.
Yeah.
Or thank you, Scott. That was good.
Well, he's a spiritual guy. Yeah, he was. He's also a very spiritual guy. And
if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have Crow Sting. And Crow Sting ended up becoming like a big part of his, gimmick that ended up revitalizing him, in all honesty.
I was there, and it was the most popular Sting had literally ever been. People were chanting, "We want Sting," at the top of their lungs for months before they finally even showed him in the rafters. It was the most fantastic repackaging I've ever seen, even now.
And all Scott Hall did was just watch the crowd with you. He's like, hey, Steve, I think you need to be doing this. And it happened. And it soared.
The simplest of things. You got to remember that DDP tells the story where he's like, you got to add something. You got to add like a toothpick. And from that point forward, Scott Hall always had a toothpick. And he's like, oh, I got to figure something out. And he flicked it. Yeah.
Yeah, then Scott Hall copied Scarface for his, his Razor Ramon gimmick.
Absolutely. So there's always the little inspirations that are able to build the best characters.
I'll add one more part to this. I think it's funny as hell, too, to know that Vince apparently didn't even know what Scarface even was. He had no idea that it was a gimmick that was even copied from him. But then again, Vince is out of touch with reality.
He lived in his own world of his own making for decades. So
he still does.
He still does. That's right. So, anyways, the Sting promo was good. Had MJF. It was a nice build-up. Once again, proving that Darby does deserve to be at the big boy table. And I anticipate Sting's last match. He talked about it again. He talked about retirement. So we think Sting's last match is coming up. Would it be terrible to have it at All In at the big Wembley Stadium? That alone could fill half of Wembley.
Well, we do know that Sting has already said, and the reports have been coming out and saying that Darby is not going to turn on Sting. He wants to team up with Darby. And that's interesting. So, because, it's normally always the younger guy that retires the older guy like that. Corbin retired Angle, and it was a dumb thing to do, but Darby retiring Sting, that's going to help him in the long run, but at the same time, too, Darby doesn't want to face off with Sting. He's like, no, I'm not going to ever turn on him. He's helped me out with my career big time, so that's going to be a big deal, is he's going to team up with Sting and someone else to take on a team of whoever.
We'll see
So
what
we'll have to wait and
happens.
see what happens.
Whatever Sting wants,
Right.
Sting gets. That's the way I look at it.
Exactly.
He
because he's
deserves.
one of the biggest names in the business.
Yep, he deserves any way he wants to go out. And when he says his last match, it will be his last match. So good on him.
Yep.
I love Sting.
Same here. Always been a Stinger since I was a kid.
You know what? Absolutely. So moving on, the next match was our second match of the night, which was the TV title, the TV championship, the TNT championship, Powerhouse Hobbs versus Silas Young. This was not a Silas Young showcase match. This was
Oh, no.
this was a 3-move match, and I don't know why they did Silas Young that way. Yes,
I was
Hobbs
expecting
looked
him.
good.
I was expecting Silas Young to actually showcase himself, and instead he just got destroyed by Powerhouse Hobbs.
Right. He got
But-
no
but-
showcase.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, wait, what are you guys gonna do with him now? I mean, is he gonna be coming back in for ROH? What is he gonna be doing? I still think it was screwed up of that to even happen. I'm like, wow. Can't believe you
ROH
guys
only
did it.
talent are treated very, very poorly on television.
Yeah, it would appear to be so.
Willow started off dark elevation and taking losses. That's the way they all start. And I'm okay with that. But ROH talent versus AEW talent is different. And you see it on television every time. So, again, I don't have a problem with it. I just don't know that Silas was the guy for it. Jay, you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, it was just a squash match. I don't really even know who Silas Young is, since I wasn't a huge ROH fan. I mean, the guy's 42 years old, and I don't know if he'll ever be on Dynamite again. So, yeah, it was just a squash match, and we from there we moved on into the segment with Wardlow and the car. They set that whole thing up. It was kind of obvious what was going to happen. Oh, here's his car for Hobbs, and
Yeah, well, the thing
Hobbs-
is, Wardlow paid for it with his credit card, so technically it was Wardlow's car, right?
Yeah.
That's the logic. He bought it with the stolen credit cards and the stolen identity. That was the dumbest. That was dumb. But yes, it was a very, 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 very obvious ploy that he was going to fuck that car up. And he did.
Yeah. And it's WWE based. Like that was the first damn thing I thought of. Was like, this is WWE 101. Somebody buys a fucking nice expensive car, like, oh my god, look at this nice expensive car I bought. Ooh, big deal. And then the face or whoever goes, oh hey, you have a car. Nice, this is really beautiful. And then just fucking destroys it like any other way. I mean, Lesnar did that several years ago. It's like it's a trope at this point. It sucks.
That never happened to Fuego's truck though.
Interesting.
Because that was a real storyline. That was not kayfabe. That was shoot. It was a real truck that Sammy bought him. So, anyways, the fact of the matter is, it was a trope. It did happen. They destroyed his car, and then later we got the magic of Aaron Solo getting powerbombed off the ramp into a table
and smacking his head on the second table after going through the first, which they gotta get some of these guys to actually work with that, because these wrestlers are now starting to fall through and they get themselves hurt.
I don't know
later.
where the breakdown is, other than decades and decades and decades and decades of just mutual experience in WWE, because the gimmicked tables, there is a disconnect somewhere, and it leads back. The entire thing leads back to the curse of the barbed wire death match, the exploding sparklers barbed wire death match. Since that day, they have been plagued with production problems.
Yeah. I wonder if those same idiots are in charge of everything else. That wouldn't be shocking to find out, that those same idiots that fucked up the fireworks, that fucked up the explosion, were actually the ones that are responsible for everything destroying. They're just like, oh yeah, hey, well, we weren't in charge of that. They just work for AEW now. They're just fucking up everything because they're incompetent.
Probably.
Seriously, Tony, please, for the love of God, fix everything, please.
What was that, Jay?
Second rate.
So they set up these huge spots. We got Solo going through two tables, smacking the back of his head. Could be seriously injured. Don't know. They didn't show a replay of what happened.
Nope.
It's like why put one of your guys through a spot like that for no reason? Like there was, you could set up a couple tables with a mat on it and throw the sheet like the table spots they do outside the ring that are perfectly safe. Why set up a risky spot like that when there's no reason for it, no payoff, and it's not even worthy of a replay? It's like, oh, Wardlow just cost some guy. And it's like you go back to like, oh, well, how many weeks ago was it that Willow tossed Anna Jay? The same exact spot, she threw her off the ramp, over the table, and she dislocated some ribs. You got Penta given on the ROH show, Penta given Dante Martin,
Dante,
destroyer off a ladder through tables on the outside. And it's like, these risky moves should be used sparingly and have a purpose and a reason behind them. Otherwise, you're going to be losing talent for no reason, for dangerous spots that don't really add anything to the program. Like, I'm not going to say the ROH spot was pointless because, you got to end a ladder match with the Lucha Brothers in a crazy way. But the Willow spot with Anna Jay was unnecessary, and the solo spot was unnecessary. Let's lighten things up a little bit and not have these crazy spots when there's no purpose for them and guys getting hurt for no reason and girls getting hurt for no reason.
Here's the problem: is that a lot of wrestlers in this current generation are like, I have to do the most over-the-top, insane shit for no fucking reason possible, and I have to. It keeps on going. It's like a cycle. To every last wrestler, every new superstar that begins in a new era, they have to do something that's so insane that it damn near kills them. And that's why Conan claimed, well, me and Rey Mysterio told Vikingo that he's got to slow it down, otherwise he's gonna fuck his body up. I'm like, I have to agree. His spots are interesting. They look insane because you've never seen anybody doing all this stuff. But remember when he took on Kenny Omega and he went out for that springboard 630. I think I'm probably getting this wrong. Through the table.
Right.
He smashes the back of his head right against the apron because the table was so close. He just went boom, and you can see the back of his head. It smashes against it. The angle they were showing it at, you don't really get to see it unless you look at it from multiple angles. Then you can see him cracking the back of his head. I'm like, yeah, these guys are gonna destroy themselves. Like you're seeing all these wrestlers do like all these crazy moves. That's the problem. They watched all these high flyers when they were younger, and they've just kept on ramping it up with all the insanity.
You remind me of a JR and some of the older generations who really hate the inside the ring to the outside the ring spot. All the topes and all the dives. That's 2023 wrestling. And it reminded me that, what I hate? And they say that it's not realistic. And it really brings them out of the match. And it really destroys their immersion and ruins their suspension of disbelief. To which I say, what really drives me crazy? And I can't believe that modern wrestlers are still fucking doing this goddamn spot. It's the Irish whip. It makes no fucking sense. You're throwing somebody and they run? No. I'm sorry. If you're telling me that someone's willingly going to just run against the ropes and then run back into his opponent, that is the least believable move I have ever seen in my life.
Well, let's not forget about the referees being completely stupid. I'm like, wait, why are the referees the dumbest people on the entire planet?
Oh, they're smart. They're storytellers. They can see the future. They know exactly when to turn their back before something happens.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God!
My point is,
there's some manager.
My point is,
wait, somebody got knocked out.
That complaining about the way wrestling is in 2023 isn't going to change wrestling in 2023. Dives from the inside to the out are going to happen because it started in the 80s and it's been building since. It got popular in the 90s and then it just became a mainstay. People don't like it, but the fact of the matter is that the sport is evolving and doing all of the moves from the ropes, from the corners, the flips, the dives, the trampoline spots, all of the different stuff is going to stay. And even the table spots that we hoped would somehow slow down aren't going away. It's unfortunate, but people like Mox love the edge of death. But that also creates problems, much as one of the people later in the show.
Well, also, as I was gonna say too, I love those spots. Don't get me wrong. I do love all the crazy, flips and dives. I love those. I do pop. I go nuts over them, for the most part. I'll usually like scream my head off. I'm like, holy shit! But at some point, it's gonna get to be, too much. A lot of these guys are gonna end up just where they can never wrestle again. So I do have to agree with that, or it just gets overdone. Like you're seeing dudes that weigh like 500 pounds and they're trying to run out the ring. I'm like, dude, logically you shouldn't be able to do that. You're like 500 pounds and you can barely even move, but you're gonna dive out of the ring. That makes no sense. Why are you diving out of the ring? Just be a big dude. Just be a powerhouse. I do have to say that is one thing that does bother me. I'm like, okay, some of these guys, it does look good. Some of them, when they're like, again, when they're like 500 pounds, and you're seeing they look slow as dirt as they're running the ropes, they shouldn't be diving out of the ring. Others, yeah, it's different. Like Keith Lee, different story.
I mean, it's the natural evolution of the sport.
Yep.
I mean, when we were kids watching, and we wanted to see the cool moves. And when you watch the beginning of Championship Wrestling with WWF, I mean, it was on the Saturday morning shows. What did they show on the beginning? They showed a bunch of cool, hard-hitting moves. They showed Snuka hitting the Superfly. They showed
Snuka off the top of the cage.
Right.
That's the escalation. When you start doing stuff like that, yeah, absolutely, Jay, you're 100% right. It was the spectacle. And Mick Foley said he was in the crowd and he saw Superfly jump off the cage. He's like, that's my destiny. And
that's been his gimmick for his whole career.
And what did he do? He made his bones by taking a fall from the top of a cage to the floor. He did exactly what his 18, 16-year-old self said he was going to do. And it was because he was a glorified stuntman. And that was another man. He put his body on the line for our entertainment. And I love it. But the fact is, he put his body on the line. And they all do, to some degree, just by doing it a couple hundred times a year. But the extent, the extreme, look, it happened. It's not going away. What isn't going away is Orange Cassidy's hand issue. Now, the next match was the International Championship. Orange Cassidy, the champion, in his continued string of amazing matches versus Buddy Matthews from the House of Black. I personally wished that Buddy Matthews was going to win. So there were a few times during this match, like right after the stomp, I seriously thought Buddy Matthews was going to win. But somehow, Orange Cassidy, with his long-term storytelling by this comedy act, is getting over with a broken hand. That's the story. So, where's the story? Right fucking here. Orange Cassidy, Buddy Matthews put on a great match. Buddy Matthews with the V-trigger couldn't win. Buddy Matthews with the stomp couldn't win. Maybe he'll get his own move and he'll get to start winning. Jay, I know you have thoughts about Buddy Matthews losing to Orange Cassidy.
Let's hear it.
We lost Jay. How about you, Krill? What'd you think of the match?
The match was fantastic. I mean, Orange Cassidy and Buddy Matthews have proven that they can both, that they both have chemistry. They've proven that they're great wrestlers. Orange is starting, showcase more. I'm a fantastic wrestler. Buddy Matthews is finally getting a chance to showcase himself out there. All the times of, being overlooked in WWE where, hey, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. I'm Seth Rollins' bitch. Now he's getting to showcase himself in big singles matches, and I think with this whole hand injury thing, it's gonna be a continuous angle, and the finale of it is going to be Orange Cassidy loses the title because his hand is like really fucked up, so now he cannot do anything.
The question it goes to is, who does he lose to? Jay, I know you have some thoughts about the match.
Right.
I just love the story of Orange. Orange has damaged his hand. I think there was no way Buddy was going to win this one. I thought it was a good showcase for Matthews too. It's great seeing Buddy wrestling. He's like, it was like the first year he was in AEW. He was on TV like twice, and now that the House of Black kind of worked out their issues or whatever it was with Khan, they got the trios title. It's great seeing a lot of Buddy Matthews on TV because he's an excellent wrestler, and I've always wanted to see him unleashed in the ring. And then I love the story they're telling with Orange and his injured hand. Orange is just doing an incredible job selling it, and it's kind of like a big FU to the critics, where he's saying, you guys, you think I'm just a comedy wrestler? I can't tell stories in the ring. He's telling a fucking story here with his hand. And it's incredible. Orange is just doing a great job, and every week he's elevating the title. the international title, and every week he's elevating himself. Because I mean, I think how long is it before we're demanding that Orange is the heavyweight champion because he's the best wrestler in the company? I mean, he's just been that great on this run.
Fucking workhorse at this point. He really is like the TBS title, the TNT title. You know, a lot of them have been squash matches. The TNT title, it's just been hot potatoed again. It's back, okay, it's been to Wardlow, it's been to Joe. Now it's back to Wardlow. Now it's back to Hobbs. It's probably getting ready. It might be getting ready to head back to Wardlow. Where does it go from there? With the international title, however, Orange Cassidy's had a long success run where he's been just having phenomenal matches against anyone and everyone they could possibly freaking think of. And it just looks insane. Cassidy's hand is messed up. That's where this is going. Cassidy's hand is going to end up being the cost, well, what cost him the championship against who, we don't know yet. We'll have to wait and find out. Maybe he loses at Double or Nothing. Maybe All In. We don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happens.
So here's the thing. I think we've all kind of hit on this. Orange Cassidy is still wrestling the exact same style he always has. All he's done is turned it up just a slight notch where he cares about the outcome a slight bit more. Everything else about his presentation is still the sloth that he was when he came into AEW in 2019. So he has gotten over with the exact same comedy match, with the same comedy moves, with everything, hands in the pockets, kip up, every move identical. But now he's serious. This is serious matches. He's putting on classics. I personally would rate now the International Championship probably their number 2 male belt. Because
I had to agree with you there.
The TNT title, it had many great moments, but it stumbled. This title has really only had a couple of holders. So it's done really, it's really been able to establish itself. Now the TNT title, it had a few great runs. It had Darby had a week after week after week putting on classic matches. So Miro was there. You can name numerous of them. The fact is, it does have a great feel to it, but right now, I think Orange has really elevated that title, and I hope that the next person that does get it can continue that momentum. And I think, Jay, you're right. I think we're going to want and we're going to demand Orange Cassidy as a world champion sooner rather than later. I don't know if I could call him the best in the locker room, because you got people like Omega, Takeshita, Pac, and a bunch of others who could absolutely challenge for the title of the best wrestler. But he absolutely is entertaining every match. He's telling the stories. He's got the audience in the palm of his hands. He's one of
He's not the best right now. I certainly give the nod to Kenny Omega, but how much more of this? He just seems to be improving every week, and some of those guys are slowing down a little bit. Some of the other guys, so I don't know.
See,
Orange Cassidy could be our world champion at some point, and it could be well deserved.
It absolutely would be. I'm not going to say he's not. See, I wouldn't say, oh, he's not as good as Kenny. That's not my form of measurement. He's damned entertaining. He's popular. Who's the most popular wrestler? Well, Orange Cassidy is probably selling a lot of damn T-shirts right now. If we go by pure popularity, Danhausen. He should be a champion somewhere. Give him the goddamn FTW championship when he gets back from injury. I don't care. Make him serious. Again, Serious Uno, Serious Danhausen. These are guys who can wrestle if you give them a chance. Still the international champion, Orange Cassidy, even though his fist continues to be a problem, somebody's going to take him down. I also don't know who it's going to be, but I'm excited to see who it will be. We got a short... Yeah, absolutely. We got a short package for Luchasaurus and Christian. Once again, with the red coloring door. He said change is coming, something like that. I didn't see it. Maybe it's the mask with Luchasaurus. I don't know. He's got a new shoulder pad. Okay, cool. Not much of a repackage, but I assume they're going to be up against Jungle Boy soon enough, and Jungle Boy's going to get some wins.
Is this all because of the mask lawsuit that they had against Luchasaurus?
I don't know if that's still a thing. I saw in the chat today that it was resolved, so I don't really know.
Right.
But I assume it was part of it. If so, please get slightly altered, whatever you need to do. Pay the guy. Let Luchasaurus wrestle. He's great. He needs some work, but he is still a really good big man, and he connects with the audience.
Any predictions on who Luchasaurus and Christian are going to target?
Before Jungle Boy.
Well, the Jungle Boy's tied up with the Four Pillars for a couple months.
Right.
So who is out there? And does Luchasaurus get a match at Double or Nothing? Because he could. He's that good. He's good enough.
I mean, so's Christian. I think they go after Hobbs. Heel versus heel. Why not?
It could work.
It could. Anyways, the next segment after the video package was the Best Friends backstage with Renee, where they announced that they were going to challenge Aussie Open for the IWGP Tag Championships on Rampage. I thought that was a great announcement. I think they're working really hard to bring up the quality of Rampage back and forth. Every now and again, maybe Tony decides, hey, let's make a good one. Think all eyes are going to be on this one. So I like Best Friends. I think Aussie Open's going to retain, but it'll be a good match.
It will indeed. Both teams are fantastic, and of course, it's going to be way too soon for Aussie Open to lose the tag titles, especially in AEW, unless they lose it at Forbidden Door, although FTR is now teasing, well, maybe we can become a two-time IWGP Tag Team Champions. Like, guys, give them time. You guys just got the tag titles from AEW back. Just give it time. Don't try to take other people's titles yet, although it'd still be interesting to see them win the IWGP Tag titles again, but we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, I don't anticipate Aussie Open losing quite yet, but once again, it'll be nice to see Best Friends showcase.
So Aussie Open won the titles, the IWGP titles 6 days ago.
Yeah.
Or wait, let me see that. 8 days ago. So they just won the titles on March 8th. So it would kind of be surprising to see them lose the titles in just over a week.
You said March 8th or April 8th?
I meant to say April 8th. So and that would have actually happened yesterday. So it would have been like a really short title reign.
Yeah.
If they lost.
Yeah.
No. I just don't see Best Friends on that IWGP Tag Team title lineage. So
no.
I think Aussie Open's got to get the win here. But what are the ramifications that this could bring for Forbidden Door? Is there going to be interference like there is in most AEW matches, or at least people running out at the end to set up a Forbidden Door storyline? So it's definitely an interesting match, and it will be an excellent wrestling match as well.
Yeah, Aussie Open's good. Best Friends have proven time and again they're always entertaining. Got to give the people what they want. It'll be a fun match, and yeah, it should be setting up something for the future, and hopefully it'll be for Forbidden Door. I mean, let's face it, AEW's got a lot coming up. They've got Double or Nothing, they got Forbidden Door, they got All In, All Out. They've definitely started to pack the year with some great events. So we move on probably to the most controversial segment. Matt Hardy. Finally, he put... Okay, so I'm going to try to piece this together. Follow me. He put in the contract that if Ethan Page lost to Hook, that Matt Hardy would then get to book a match with Ethan Page where he got to choose the stipulation, and the stipulation was he gets to be free. Did I think I did that right.
I think
and it doesn't make any sense, because if you're adding a blind stipulation to a contract, why wouldn't he have just said,
right?
Well, the whole thing is over. But there would have been enough there to make a follow-up match between them where Paige is pissed off about that and he wants some revenge. I guess there wouldn't necessarily be any stakes, though, beyond that being a grudge match. So I get why they did it. I just think they need to be a little smarter with stuff like this.
Here's the thing. I think up until last week, the match was he's free. And then we all know there was a big return, and that was Jeff Hardy made his big return to AEW, save his brother Matt. And that was Jeff got cleared. And I think then they're like, okay, so we're going to have another match. So now Jeff can be involved. and help Matt get his freedom. That's the only thing that makes sense, because right up until this week, everything was Matt's going to be freed, Matt's going to be freed, Matt's going to be freed. Now it's Matt gets the chance to be freed next week. Had to be because of Jeff's return. Had to be. Which, okay, so Jeff's back. I find this questionable. He's had nothing but problems. He's been an issue from day one in AEW. Everybody was wondering, when was the shoe going to drop? It dropped. He showed up after WWE cut him because of a potential problem. Passed the drug test, but it could have been something else. We don't know. Shows up in AEW, right into the same problem. This is WWE cut him, TNA hired him, TNA fired him, WWE brought him back, WWE fired him, AEW hired him. I mean, this has been consistent in his life multiple times now. The guy is phenomenal in the ring. The guy is absolutely amazing to watch, and the audience adores and loves him. His charisma is through the fucking roof. But is it time for him to stop wrestling? Because it's going to lead him down the road to painkillers. It's not a question anymore.
I know, Krill, you had a lot to say about Jeff Hardy's return.
To me, I really do say, I still say it's just like this. I think Jeff might sometimes, contemplate retiring, and then Matt comes in. He's like, no, come on, man. One more run. I'm like, Matt, look, dude, you need to get some of your own shit, okay? You guys cannot keep on running together forever. I mean, yeah, it's nice to see Jeff Hardy back, but Jeff has had so many relapses. He's had so many issues. He gets clean, and he gets fucked up again. And it usually ends up happening. I hate to say it, but it usually ends up happening when Matt forces him back. And I really do think Matt brings it back because, again, fans stopped liking Matt Hardy when Jeff was away. Fans like, okay, dude, you're boring. Because he's not interesting. He goes back and forth between the characters. Big Money Matt, Matt Hardy V1. You can't kill Matt Hardy. And then Broken Matt Hardy, which, again, that Tony Khan is like, I hate that fucking gimmick, so you're not going to do it. And he goes, all right, come on, Jeff, let's do one more run. And then Jeff ends up back in the same position. And it's just, I really don't know. I don't know if that's what's happening or not, but it just kind of makes me think when Matt Hardy gets stale, he drags in Jeff. And that's what I've seen. We've seen it in TNA, we've seen it in WWE. When he gets stale, he brings in Jeff. Him and Jeff have to re-team up again. They'll go solo for a little bit. Jeff, do his shit, be popular as hell. But Matt is nowhere near Jeff's level. He never has been. Jeff was always the breakout star because of all his crazy spots. So again, when Matt Hardy gets stale, he calls upon Jeff, hey, let's do another run. All right, let's win the tag titles. Let's, have some good matches of everybody else, and we'll be fine. And then, boom, Jeff relapses. Matt has to go back on his own, has to leech off of other people, and he can't get over without Jeff. That's how I view it. I just view Matt Hardy as a bad influence on his own brother. Fucked up to say, but he kind of is.
Well, he's at least a little bit of an enabler from what I've seen. Jay, did you have something to say?
I just hope that with Jeff coming back that he's not used like he was when in his first few, the first month he came back in AEW, where every week he was fighting a crazy match, and we know the guy's hurting. He can't even do the swanton dive anymore without landing on the ring because his back's messed up or whatever. I just don't want to see him go out there and start killing himself every week again. It's just too much. Why can't he just be like a
Slow
a
down.
normal tag team wrestler without jumping off a ladder through a table every damn week?
Slow down a little, Jeff. Slow down. That I absolutely agree.
The problem is that this is what fans have expected from Jeff Hardy for years, because this has always been Jeff's thing. He goes up, dives off something like really tall, splat. Fans go, "Oh my god, holy shit!"
It's the adrenaline.
Yeah.
He's a daredevil. He's an adrenaline junkie. That's what feeds into his drug addiction. It doesn't matter if we go crazy for it. He has to stop.
I agree. He does have to stop. He needs to start wrestling normal matches. But again, the problem is people are going to expect this. And I've already seen people, they're booking, hey, let's have the Hardy Boys in a ladder match. I'm like, please no. As much as, people love seeing the Hardy Boys in ladder matches, Jeff has got to stop with the big matches like that. He's got to, just be grounded, do all that, and then put people over. His match with Darby Allin last year, that was a fantastic match. It was a good match that should have been the end of his insane spots. But it wasn't. It was just continuation.
Tell Darby that.
Yeah, Darby.
The problem is the problem is, we were talking about it earlier, people putting their bodies on the line. People like Darby want to, and you're not going to stop them. If they don't do it in your production, if they don't do it in your promotion, they'll do it somewhere. John Moxley will bleed somewhere. If it wasn't WWE, it was going to be AEW. If it's not AEW, it's going to be GCW. He's going to bleed. So it's just how people want to wrestle. So I think if you want to have Jeff around, put him on a Legends contract. Don't let him wrestle. But Tony is as big a mark for him as we are of the Elite. And he's going to have him wrestle, and that's... Nobody's excited because everybody's worried.
Everybody is worried that he's going to end up falling back in the same path that he already was in.
Yep.
And that's something we do not want to see.
Nope.
We don't want to see Jeff Hardy fuck up
again.
Himself, you know?
And that's the problem, so we'll see if it happens. Now, the next segment that we moved into was Kenny Omega, who had a message for the Blackpool Combat Club. And that message was simple: if you fuck with Don Callis, you fuck with my family. And that was real simple, straightforward, and it made him. He was taped at home, so it made you think that he wasn't in the arena. It was a real straightforward message, and it tied directly into the next match, which was, of course, the Blackpool Combat Club versus the mighty Michael Nakazawa, and my personal favorite and future DM, Brandon Cutler. I thought that Nakazawa and Cutler did as good as possible against insurmountable odds. Cutler's punches and clotheslines literally did nothing. Literally did nothing. They were brushed off as if they were dust. Nakazawa did less. He did get busted open the hard way against the mat. It was a brutal brutalization. Yes,
sorry
sir.
to cut you off there, but something that I did want to cover because we completely forgot of it. When Isaiah Cassidy and Matt Hardy, on the stage, and here comes Lee Moriarty and Big Cass. Cass, full fucking momentum, bam, smashes Isaiah Cassidy right in the fucking apron. And Cassidy, I don't know if he was hurt. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see and hear from him to find out if that's the case. Because if he is hurt, well, they can just have Hook or somebody else take his place in the match. So
yeah, Isaiah, you're right. There was a report that the camera angle didn't catch it, but live people thought it was pretty nasty, and we'll see. But Cass, you can't blame him too much. He was in the moment, whatever, yada yada yada. You got to be safe, but yeah, hopefully Isaiah's okay. But speaking of beatdowns, we did have again Michael Nakazawa, who got bloodied, and Brandon Cutler, who also got bloodied, absolutely brutalized by the Blackpool Combat Club. That was pretty much their job, was to go out there. Now, I do want to stop for a second to go back to BTE on Monday, because Brandon Cutler was the focus of BTE, where he was training for this match. They replayed a little segment with him and Nakazawa, where he basically said, you have to stand up, you have to be elite, and you have to stop the bullies. And I thought that was really powerful. And then on BTE, he seemingly improvised a song where the chorus was, you've got to be elite, you've got to go all in. And basically it was sort of an inspirational song. But he sang it because he was so sad because the elite were hurt. It was tremendous. I love the song. I really hope that Mikey Ruckus comes along and helps him make an amazing version of it. Brandon Cutler is a triple threat. They got brutalized, but afterwards, out came Kenny Omega. He was actually there. And he was a distraction, and the Young Bucks attacked from behind, beat them down like real heroes, and they got to stand tall, and the Blackpool Combat Club finally got a little bit of comeuppance. Jay, hold on. Jay, what'd you think of the segment?
I thought it was great to see Knock and Cutler get some offense in. I didn't even think this was going to be an actual match.
It
And,
almost wasn't.
Nakazawa got some great offense in. He was pounding Claudio with those forearms to the face, and it was enough that Claudio had to tag out. And I thought that was cool to see Nakazawa get something, get some of his stuff in. Brandon Cutler didn't look quite as strong as Knock did. He got beat down pretty good. Yeah, it was. I thought the Kenny interview was strong. I had never seen a Kenny interview where he was so focused. I wished he had followed up on what he said in the interview, because he said, you're going to see something like you've never seen before, and certainly what happened with the toolbox and the screwdriver. Well, we had seen the screwdriver before. In fact, the spot where they stabbed the screwdriver into the turnbuckle, that had been done previously by Kenny when he was feuding with Mox and during the Lights Out. Around the time of that Lights Out match.
He was wearing the eye patch at the time. I think he was going for his other eye.
Yeah. So it was great to see the Bucks out too. Matt had his arm wrapped up. So I don't know how close he is to be able to bump in the ring, but he can't be too far away. Otherwise, Tony probably wouldn't have him out there. Although it would be weird if it was just Nick and not Matt.
Yeah, I think they were clearly not cleared for action, but they were able to come out and have a little physicality. So,
So it was good to see them get the Elite finally get the upper hand, and the wild card here is Hangman. Where was Hangman this week? Is he going to be on? Presumably he was out because of the beatdown he had last week. But maybe next week is the week that the Elite will be reunited. We've been waiting for a year and a half now since Kenny and Hangman lost the titles and split. So, hopefully we get some progress on that soon. And there's some, as we said last week on our podcast, there's just a ton of dream matches here, and there's only great things are going to come from this feud between BBC, as Adam Cole calls, or as Adam Page calls them, and the Elite.
Just pulled an Adam Page right there. And guys, I gotta head out. So
thanks for joining us, Krill.
No problem. And also remember, never bet against Krillin.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Everyone's starting to find that out because I've been right about so many things. So again, ladies and gentlemen, never bet against Krillin.
NBAK.
NBAK.
And back for life.
Absolutely.
Yep. All right. See you later.
See ya. So I love this story. Once again, it's the Elite being the focus of will he, won't he, where's Hangman, what's going on with this, that, the other. I mean, in Blackpool Combat Club, they're the heels. They're beating up everybody. This is a top-level storyline with their top-level guys. I'm here for it. I'm excited for it. And this is it. This is our match. So it's coming up soon. They're going to have a big blow-off. It's going to be great. And then we move on because it was a nothing match. We move on to match number 5, which was Sky Blue and Riho once again versus Ruby Soho and Toni Storm with Saraya at ringside. So, not a surprise the way that this match went. Sky Blue once again shows she deserves to be in the ring with 3 amazing women wrestlers. Riho, Ruby, and Toni are great wrestlers, and Sky Blue is showing she can hang. She's doing the same thing Sammy Guevara did in the All Access, where it was Claudio, Danielson, and Jericho. So she's able to hang. They had a good tag match. Of course, Toni Storm and Ruby Soho got the win with the Saraya distraction, etc., etc. And pretty much just the normal beatdown segment with the spray paint. Nothing new there. Jamie Hayter makes the save. She gets beat down. Britt Baker makes the save. They celebrate. Not really anything new happened in this match. Jay, what was your opinion?
Yeah, more of the same. In Forteller last week, I picked the women's match wrong because I thought Willow. I think was that last week.
Yeah. Either way,
I thought it was time. It was time for the AEW guys to beat the Outcasts, and again that didn't happen again this week either. So they're continuing to strengthen the Outcasts. I don't know. Britt and Hayter celebrated in the ring. I pretty sure I checked to see if Riho and Sky Blue joined them, but they didn't.
Nope.
So it was almost like more of a Britt and Hayter thing. setting up. And I guess my other comment here on this match is Saraya, like, she probably needs more in-ring work than anyone. So why are they using her so sparingly?
Because she needs more ring work. They don't want her to be an embarrassment. But they can't put her on Elevation and Dark. They can't put her on Elevation and Dark because she's too big a name.
This is the type of match you can insert her into a tag match and let her partner carry her and the other 3 wrestlers. But I mean, this is like a perfect opportunity, these tag matches, for her to get back in the ring and start getting good again.
I don't disagree, but if it was like Willow and Riho versus, say, Toni Storm and Saraya, I'd have been okay with that. I think Sky Blue isn't enough to be able to carry Saraya's half. This was a match to more showcase Sky because she's barely broken out. She's only a few years older than somebody like Billy Starks, who, by the way, is all elite. Sky Blue is all elite. So these are the young up-and-comer wrestlers that they need to get more experience. Saraya, as much as I love her, more experience isn't going to help her. Her working out in the ring alone before the show, her working out in the ring between the shows, her working out in the gym, that's where she's going to show improvement. She doesn't need ring work. She's had plenty of ring experience. She doesn't have ring rust. What she has is lack of training rust. Unlike Danielson, who trained to go back into the ring almost the entire 5-6 years he was out. Punk didn't train very well. And look what happened when he got back. Injury. And by the way, will he come back? Won't he come back? We'll see. But the fact of the matter is, I think that Saraya, yes, needs improvement, but I don't think they need her on TV, on Dark and Elevation, trying to do the improvements live. I think she needs to put in the goddamn work.
I mean, I think she looks great, from a physical standpoint. And I think you can't replicate performing in front of a crowd in training for wrestling. You don't bump the same way. You don't do anything the same way if the crowd's not there. So I disagree. I think she needs more time in ring on matches on TV. She needs to be able to perform under pressure, and she's only had 5 matches in the last six years since 2017, and that's not even 30 minutes of time in ring. So I think putting her in a tag match like that could help her. It's almost like they're protecting her and they want to keep her available for main events where there's more than 2 wrestlers. Like we had the 3-way against Hayter and Soho at Revolution. But I don't know. I'd like to see her out there in the ring getting more action and helping her get back to where she used to be.
I think we will see her in more of the multi-person matches. I agree. I think six-person matches will allow her to be in it without showing all of her flaws. So maybe we'll see more of that as we come up. I don't know why they're not putting her in the ring more. You make a lot of sense. Of course, Toni Storm and Ruby Soho won, and as we said, Britt and Hayter made the save. So it was really more about them than it was about Soho or about Riho and Sky Blue. So again, some odd booking from the women. Once again, Jade is completely missing. I don't know what's going on with her. They need to do something with her and that entire belt. If they were waiting for Statlander to come back to pull the trigger, that's another problem with Toni not being able to adjust on the fly. So hopefully the women's division will be more than the same 4 or 5 women wrestling every week.
And if you watched All Access, on those All Access shows, Ty Conti or Ty Mello was complaining about how she when she was a face before her and Sammy kind of came out publicly, she was getting matches at the pay-per-views and she was a top baby face in the division. And where is she? Like, she hasn't been on at all since January, and so that's 3 months. So I don't follow Sammy's vlog. I don't know if she's on there with him and talking about it, but yeah, I don't know where the hell she is.
I've stopped watching his vlog. I only watched it for a little bit, and now it's just him and Tay anyways.
The travel vlog.
Yeah, it's basically just the travel vlog, which is where it kind of started to begin with, but not the point. Where she's been, I don't know. She made a valid point. She used to be the top babyface. She absolutely was beloved, and now she's hated. And I think that's wrong. But they just rehabbed Sammy. They've started to, his last match, he really started to come off like a face. And I think they may be turning him face, turning Ty face. So that maybe together she can get back. I don't know why she's not being used more. She's great. I loved her in the ring. They team her up with Anna Jay, so great. But just because Anna's out doesn't mean that she needs, I don't know. Anna's got her own thing going on with Julia anyways.
Yeah, and that is a good point that Ty kind of disappeared when Anna Jay got hurt. So.
Yeah. And that's, again, that's Tony's mentality. That's the booking people not being able to adjust. So we got to make some adjustments somewhere. Tay
and the
is great.
Jericho Appreciation Society, which she is a part of, is a little scattered right now. So
yeah. Speaking of Jericho, he did get the final match, which, much like last week, should not have been the final match. Once again, it should have been the Elite and the Blackpool Combat Club. However, his match against Keith Lee was great. I thought it was Keith Lee in the main event. I have no issues with Keith Lee closing the show out. Once again, he's a massive man. He moves around the ring like he's 200 pounds. The dude is phenomenal. Love him. Even Grey Wizard with the cloak and whatever he's doing. I still love Keith Lee. Jericho won, as I called. I was one of the few. It was Swerve who got involved. Revealed himself. Great. Cole came and did the same after the match. Looked over his shoulder at Jericho a little bit. That's why they did it. It's because of Cole and Jericho. They're trying to build that as a main event thing. And it just should not have been last. It just shouldn't have been. But Keith Lee in the main event, I'm not going to argue too much. I liked it, but I thought it could have been better. What were your thoughts?
When Keith Lee first came into AEW, he had so much momentum.
Yep.
And even when he was a tag champion, I felt like he kept up that momentum a lot. But ever since he lost the titles, man, I mean, he was off TV for a while. Was he hurt? I don't know. Maybe. And then he's been in the feud with Swerve, which everyone expected. They haven't executed on it, and it's just kind of dragged out in the background. And for some reason now they're deciding that it's time to reignite that feud. I thought Keith Lee was kind of blown up in that main event. It got a very bad rating on Cage Match. It was, I think, the lowest rated match of the night. And a lot of people think, including myself, that the Elite should have closed out the show. But again, it's Tony trying to push Adam Cole as the top guy in the company, which is a joke in my opinion. I'm not interested in Jericho versus Adam Cole. I think that's a lower mid card match at this point. That's not going to be a popular opinion, but I don't know. It's just he and with the rumors that Kenny extended his contract with AEW. Come on. I mean, close out the show with that. It would have blown the roof off the place. Instead of putting it in the middle of the show. I don't know. And then even after this match, Jericho, it's always send the fans home happy after Dynamite ends. After Dynamite ended, and we have the video on the Elite Mark Order YouTube channel of Chris Jericho's addressing the crowd after Dynamite went off the air. If you want to see it, go check it out at Elite Mark Order at YouTube.
You can search Elite Mark Order either at YouTube or Google. It will come up with us. And don't forget, you can join the Discord by clicking the link below. Go to EliteMarkOrder.com, and you can click on Join the Discord there. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share. You were saying, Jay.
What was I saying?
Something about the Elite closing out.
Yeah, it again, just trying to force Adam Cole into this top spot. I don't know. I mean, the ratings have gone down with Adam Cole in a singles match in the main event on the show, and this Jericho thing is Adam Cole. What is Adam Cole's interest in Keith Lee? It didn't really even make any sense. I don't know. This just could have been executed better. Yeah, and I thought the ending of the show was a bit of a dud.
Yeah, I can't say that it left me feeling like it was anything. I mean, it was a continuation of a story. What it didn't leave was a finality. It wasn't even a cliffhanger. It wasn't even a breadcrumb. I was so much more interested in the way that the Blackpool Combat Club and the Young Bucks ended and where it goes from there than I was about Jericho. Jericho is a main event level talent, but I think Adam Cole is dragging him down. I mean, I know Cole's over, but he's had one match in the last 9 months. I know Tony loves him, the corporate thing, yada yada yada. So far he's been a miss. He was. They haven't pulled the trigger on any of his real storylines, and all of the people they had storylines with are now doing other stuff, or gone,
Right.
or gone.
I mean, he had a program with Hangman, which was good. I mean, it wasn't great, but it was good. And his stuff with the Dark Order was probably. I think the Budge thing has been the best part of it. Adam Cole was John Silver.
It's John Silver is why.
Budge, yeah.
Because he is fucking charismatic as hell. And he and Reynolds together were a great teaming. But yeah, Adam Cole's been boring. He really has.
So what's going on with Rampage for tomorrow night? Looks like we got Aussie Open against Best Friends for the titles, which we discussed. We got Jack Perry versus Sean Spears. So Sean Spears is coming back
for a loss.
Yeah,
because
Perry, he's got to lose, but it's good to see Sean Spears back. He had made some snarky comments on Twitter about AEW.
Yep,
maybe directed at Sammy Guevara, or maybe even it was directed at Jungle Boy because he hangs out with Tony Khan. So I don't know. That's
he
kind of
did.
Funny to see.
There was something. I don't know. Sean Spears has been a big wet fart. He really has. I think he's tall. He's got a look.
Other than that chair shot that he hit Cody with.
And that's only because Cody loves him. Cody trusted him and protected him and said, take your best shot. Other than that, he's been a wet fart.
Yep.
I just, good luck, Sean Spears, but I just don't see it happening right now.
He did take a wicked stunner from Tony, though.
Okay.
I don't know. Do you remember that clip where Tony Khan gave Sean Spears the stunner?
I don't.
All right, I'll have to link you to that.
I mean, okay, sure. I mean, Sean's a good guy. Backstage, he might be a wonderful man, but I don't really care. I really don't. He's not connected. I didn't care about him in the Pinnacle. I didn't care about him in the Inner Circle. I don't care about him as Cody's lackey. I just don't really care about him right now. He hasn't given me a reason to care about him. He hasn't been allowed to give me a reason to care about him. I don't know what the reason is why he hasn't been able to, but the chairman gimmick was dumb. He just hasn't really stuck with me. That's all.
I put the clip in the chat of Tony giving Sean Spears the stunner. If you haven't seen it, yeah, it's pretty funny stuff. It's from a long time ago.
It has to
real
be.
Early days at AEW. I almost call it ECW, but
ECAW.
When are we going to do our ECW retrospective show?
I mean, any new shows you want to do, I'm open for. I know that once Fight Forever is finally released, we're going to have a ton of content because we're going to have tournaments. We're going to do all sorts of things. But until then, I mean, I don't know if you want to do an ECW retrospective where somehow we watch the old ECW episodes and then rate them and review them. We could do something like that.
I actually have every ECW VHS tape, every episode of ECW TV on VHS from like 95 to 98.
The old school ECW midnight stuff. The good ECW.
VHS. Yeah, all of that stuff. Unedited stuff that WWE won't release. It's all there.
I mean, I'd be willing to watch it if we could figure out a way. But anyways, that's something for us to talk about offline. Let's go ahead and end this episode. Thank you for listening so much. Go ahead and like, share, join us in the Discord, And don't forget to leave comments down below about your thoughts about this show. KNOTB for life. No, wait, I got that wrong. What? It's something about Krillin. It's never bet against NBAK. Yeah, Satellites Unite. And
Satellites Unite, Satellites for life.
There you go. And KOTB for life.